Hello everyone, welcome to our Art Therapy Live. Today we're focused on May flowers. I bought myself a basil plant this week at the store and it smells really good. And I will apologize up front for any odd noises you hear. Our internet is not working at home, so I am actually sitting in my car outside the library borrowing their Wi-Fi. This week, so many celebrations today. Cinco de Mayo, May the 4th be with you, was yesterday. We've got Mother's Day coming up this weekend. And then May Day, of course, was May 1st. I don't know if any of you ever made sure to buy flowers, or if you ever made handmade flowers or cards for your mom in school. So today I thought we'd spin off of all those ideas, all these celebrations, all this new life coming with spring, and work on some flowers. I also have a book to recommend that is inspired by the 12 steps healing process and by gardening, and it is called Overcoming the Nevers by Terry Johnson. It's very well done. And then I went online yesterday and looked up different paper flower instructions. I remember a couple years ago I made some really cool paper flowers, some roses with floral wire and printed pages, but most of them that I found were all like, oh, you need a circuit cutter and all these other things. So I may do a little bit with borrowing the images of their patterns and kind of inspiring my own. Two that I think we can really build off of. One is using paper plates to make roses or flowers, and then there's this other one that I think we can be inspired by their images. I will put links to all of these patterns that I showed today in my newsletter. For any of you who are signed up for that, you'll get that later this week. A couple of things you may want to have on hand. I just used Elmer's glue, and I'll tell you, it was a little frustrating to use this. So if you have hot glue gun, I highly recommend a hot glue gun. If you have pencils that you're not using, or some floral wire, or you could probably use any wire that you find at home, and you could use masking tape to tape the flowers onto if you wanted stems. And then you could cover them with masking tape, and then you could paint them or use marker to color them green if you'd like. Construction paper, you could use any kind of collage type paper that you have on hand. Or you could use, if you have like paper punches, large paper punches, that could be helpful if you like petals that are symmetrical. You could use tape to tape things together. I'm going to start with this rose pattern I thought looked really neat. What you'll need for that is scissors and a square piece of paper, because you're going to cut a scalloped circle. So if any of you know how to take a piece of paper that is not exactly a square and make it a square, you just fold one side over and you fold it, and then you cut that excess off, and then you have a square. So if you like to use a pencil, start in the middle and start creating a scallop pattern, because that's what it looks like. They had their fancy printer cut here. So you're going to think spiral and scallop. Okay, or you don't draw it in and you just start cutting. And I think it's hard to start in the middle, so I just started on the edge. And flowers are not perfect, so it's okay if it rips a little, if it's a little less round, a little more oval, if some of the petals are smaller or bigger than the others. Eventually you're going to get the first round done, and then just trim this last bit off so that it's not quite as annoying as a tail. But just keep your scallop going until it spirals into the middle. You can't cut it any smaller. So essentially you have this. Let me move this paper out of the way. Now what they recommend is taking your hot glue gun, putting some hot glue right on this end, and then having a piece of wire or a pipe cleaner or something that you glue on, and then you start wrapping your paper around. She did say, the lady who wrote up this instruction pattern said she tried hot gluing all the way along and the flower was way too tight. And then she also had a tip of spraying your paper with water lightly first to help it be a little more moldable as you wrap it. So you glue that first bit down, and then you just wrap and wrap and wrap, and then you would glue this last flap down. And if you would put it on a pipe cleaner, you could roll the tip of the pipe cleaner up so you have like a little ball in that center, and then you would glue again at the base that last flap in, and you could cut yourself a leaf pattern, which is sort of like a teardrop. You could cut it any size you want, and you could glue that right over the base as well if you wanted to have it look like it was on a leaf. So that is one way to do it. And one thing I realized as I was practicing that one earlier was I thought it looked really cool if you didn't glue it ahead of time, if you didn't glue it onto your pipe cleaner or onto your wire, and you just released it. I thought this flower looked kind of cool. And then you could tape it and glue it however you like the finished product. You could put it right on a card. You could just put some glue in here, hold it steady, glue it onto your leaf, write a message on there for a mom, a grandma, a woman in your life that you just want to give something to. For Mother's Day this weekend, write something on here encouraging for yourself as you think of beauty in your life, places of growth that you want to nurture within yourself. Obviously, the larger square that you have, the longer this spiral will be and the bigger your ending flower will be. You could do these in any color that you like. Don't have to be traditional flower colors. Pick your favorite one and do that. So that's one of the patterns here. Another one, and I am so glad I practiced this one earlier for you because there's no way it's going to happen on live for you in any kind of good semblance, but I will in my newsletter have step-by-step photos of this piece. And I started with cutting a circle out of construction paper, and then you cut a whole bunch of squares. You're going to need, depending on the size dahlia that you want, you're going to cut different size squares, and then you're going to create cones. And this takes a little finesse. You're going to want, just like an ice cream cone, a waffle cone, you want the one corner to stay nice and tight, and then you wrap this outer edge over, and I kind of have to squeeze this point a couple different times to get it to keep rolling for me. Then you put a line of glue, and again, hot glue is going to be super handy here, or some fast drying glue. If you use Elmer's glue or something like that, where it takes a while to dry, you're going to have to sit here and hold it. So, put a good show on TV or a good book on your phone, get it playing, because you're going to have to hold it if you use a slow drying glue until you get these cones. And you're going to need a whole pile of them. You can do it all one color. You can vary up the colors. I went for a little bit of an ombre effect, and I got that. And what you do with the cones, you can see it on the back here, is you start gluing them around the circle. If you use hot glue, it's going to dry really fast. If you use any other glue, you're going to have to wait for that layer to glue. And then you add the next layer of cones. And then when that layer dries, you can see it's still not dry right now, you add the next layers. And I can see there's still somewhat glue in there, so I'm actually going to just slide this cone right in. And there you have a little dahlia. And I was thinking with this one, you could have the whole family participate. There's so many little cones. You could write little messages inside each one. As you're putting together, you could think of the different layers of memories that you have together, different positive traits about different people, or you could put it all together. And once it's all dry, you could throw little things in each cone and give this and just set this on the table for someone as a gift. You could leave it for the whole family, and everybody can, when something good happens, you could pick a treat from one of the cones, and it'd be a little bit of a obstacle course or whatever, or see who can do something tricky with chopsticks or something like that to get the Skittle or the little slip of paper. You could take other strips of paper and write an encouraging word, and you could roll it up and stick it inside the cone for people to get. So there could be all sorts of fun ideas that you could put in there. An encouragement flower, a flower of memories, things that you want to celebrate about whoever you give this flower to. That would be the second one that I wanted to show you today. And then I think, shall we go with trying to figure out the paper plate one together? What it says you need for supplies for the paper plate. Obviously you need some paper plates, and this also says hemp cord. I don't have that. I did grab some copper wire that I've been enjoying lately, and I grabbed this green wire. You're going to need a round pencil, of which I didn't have any. And they said you can't use a beveled one, so I grabbed the end of my paintbrush of mine. And then you could have markers or crayons, and that's what I brought today. Is I brought good old water-soluble crayons. I have my paintbrush, I have my water bottle. So let's get started in reading the directions together. I don't know if any of you like experimenting. I'm hoping that you do a little bit to see how it works, to trying out something new, trying a new pattern, and what that's like for you. Does it get frustrating? Is it exciting? Is it irritating to read someone else's instructions and try to make sense of it? All those things are things to pay attention to you as you create art. There's insights to learn about yourself and your process of doing these things. And I will have questions like that help us process any kind of art making that we're doing. We can throw a little bit of a therapeutic benefit on it. But there's also the benefit of just relaxing and paying attention, trying something new, seeing if we can create something beautiful, and that can be for ourselves, it can be a gift for someone else. And I think there's different values in both of those things. So thinking of flowers, what kind of things are like gardening to you? What do flowers remind you of? Are there people? Are there memories? Are there places? What emotions do flowers stir up within you? Okay, so for the paper plate, you're gonna fold the plate in half, one way. So you have it in half, and then you're gonna fold it in half again. So essentially in quarters, right? So there you go. And then you're going to cut it like a petal. And I will use my bigger scissors for that because it gets basically cutting 4 plates at once, it feels like. And essentially you're gonna have sort of like a shamrock. And you can always go, if you don't like how something looks, you can go back and edit it a little bit. So that's what one looks like. And then they said you're going to do this 2 more times so that you have 3, and each time you're going to make these petals a little bit smaller. So you have a large, a medium, and then a smaller one. I'm sure if you do this a bunch, your cutting will get much better. So you have 3 different sizes. And then you're going to use your round pencil, once you open these, to curl, like curling your hair, the petals in. So again, you use something round. It could be a spoon, it could be a paintbrush end, it could be a smooth round pencil, or a thin marker you could do. You're gonna roll all of your edges in. It's interesting how repetition is something that has been shown to be soothing. So if you're feeling relaxed and you get yourself a pattern, an activity that is a little bit mindless and repetitive, it allows your breathing to slow down. It allows your mind to slow down. There are some great art exercises out there where you're literally like wrapping thread around things, and they have found that to be incredibly soothing. It lowers heart rates, it lowers blood pressure, just that soothing, repetitive nature. Some people find that in coloring. I have a good friend who finds mowing the lawn really soothing. So you could stack these up. You could have as many layers of this as you want. I feel like I'm going to do one more. I'm going to fold this 3 times for a little experiment. This will be my smallest set. Again, I'm inspired by their pattern, but not feeling tied to it. So anytime that you see me do something on here, I hope you're inspired to, give it your own spin, personalize it a bit. So now I'll have that kind of a pattern, and I'm gonna roll those again. Same thing I did with the big one. Take an edge and roll it around like a curling iron around these edges. It's really nice. The paper plate holds its shape really easy. It does not take a lot of effort for this. And yeah, I'll probably do another 1 or 2 actually, smaller and smaller of these multiple, and then you can take a piece of paper and kind of shred the end. And I'm going to do it with blue because it's the first one I grabbed. Kind of be careful when you're doing this that you don't accidentally, cut your finger, especially the finger that is underneath. And then you can roll this fringe here and start folding bits of it back, and you can make this as big as you want. Put a dab of hot glue, or actually, sorry, the first thing would be to put your wire or your ribbon through the middle. So you might want to preemptively take scissors or cut a hole in the middle. I can't just shove it through right now. But thread this through. You could put a bead on the end of some string, and then with a needle, you could push right through and thread these all together. And then a dab of hot glue, and you put your little fringy center on there, and you could leave it plain white. You could dip them in water with some food coloring in it. You could take the Neocolor watercolor crayons or anything that's water soluble, even markers, color the edge and dip it into water, or spray it with water so that the color kind of bleeds into it like a petal. So I hope that was a couple ideas for you. Thinking of flowers, spring, growth, beauty, encouragement. I hope you give one of them a try. Create some kind of flower and think about the beautiful things in your life that are growing and that you want to continue growing and nurturing this week, this month, this year. And who might you want to encourage with something that you create? So thanks so much for stopping in. Have a great day.